Welcome to DCP Talks. You know, I'm always going to put my podcast on my website, www.authorstephencandice.com. You know, I've written over 40 books, so yeah, I'm going to talk about my books, and I have over 20 books on Audible. So there you go. You can get any of those Audibles, and there's free Audibles, which I'm going to start posting up real soon. So we got to check those things out. Like everybody else, I'm throwing shit off of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, you name that shit, all of us are trying to get it out there. Give us a holler for those of us trying to make a buck. Holla! In this week's episode 11, we are going to talk about the Chronicles of Zorn's Quest. The first 4 books, Witches and Dragons series. That's right. Now we're going to take these 4 books and we're going to break these 4 books down and make sure that we understand all 4 books and what these are about and where they're going. Zorn has 1 through 10 books, his complete series. Now, the first 4 we're going to talk about. I would like to thank this week's sponsorship to Sparkle and Soar. You can find them on Facebook. Check them out. I would also like to congratulate Kiwi Productions last week on their adventure for the 48-hour Film Fest World at La Palooza. Palooza. See? That's that kind of shit that drives you nuts. Those little crazy words. Now, anytime you want to talk to me or ask any questions, you can send me any questions at authorstephencandice@gmail.com. Now, let's get to it. Now, books 1 through 6 of Zorn's Quest are on Audible, and those have been done by Brad Derry. Now, why did I choose Brad to narrate all 6 of these books? Number 1, I wanted them consistent. Number 2, I wanted the way he read it because he adds to the characters. Voices change. It makes it a little more great for fantasy readers. If anybody's ever done it, you got to understand it. When you hear it, you just got to do it. So I think that's pretty cool. Brad lives in North Carolina, which is kind of cool. And I think that's really neat. So kind of cool. Now, let's get to book 1. Zorn's Quest, Revenge on Tribilious. That is where this all started. Now, this book or story I wrote over 35 years ago, stuck it away in the closet, and then brought it back out where it was wrote in pencil. That's right, it was wrote in pencil. Now, let's talk about Zorn's, The Revenge on Tribilious, book 1. Now, this is where it all started, see? In this book, Zorn meets King Oric. Now, King Oric asks Zorn to go and get his daughter that was captured and taken away by the Snake King. So Zorn agrees to go get the daughter to find out where she is in search for the Snake King or who has the king's daughter. Now, in his quest, during the quest, Zorn loses a love, Leona. Zorn with Leona get the king's princess and take her back to King Oric. Now, in book 1, Leona dies. Now, King Oric says he has a way that he can bring Leona back. Hey, you know how that works. If somebody's like, hey, you can bring my wife back, what would you do? You damn skippy, you gonna try to do it, right? So the quest is Zorn has to go get a stone. And if he brings the stone back to King Oric II, then he will release and awaken Leona. Ooh, that sounds like a true fantasy tale. Now, in book 1, revenge comes out because it seems like there's a witch. And the witch controls the stone. The witch tells Zorn the king has lied. Well, through this tale, now you know why there's revenge. And in the first book, Zorn come across the white dragon. There, the white dragon. Now, we're going to find out more about the white dragon. But in book 1, it's Zorn's quest to travel across the lands and to find the stone. So he has to go to Caravan Mountains And that is where he is going to find the witch that has the stone. Now, there is where it's going to open up a whole new storyline that we are going to like and enjoy, because that's what it is all about, Zorn's quest. Now, after Zorn goes for his revenge on Tribilious, now Zorn is after revenge for the witch and for the white dragon, which he has found out is controlled by the witch. So, book 2, The Witches of Caravan. That's right, you got 4 sisters. Woo! 4 witches? Man, man. So therefore, then there's the white witch, which is not nice. She controls the white dragon. There we go, people. We're going to find out in book 2 on how Zorn has to meet the 4 witches because he wants to destroy them. But here's the little kicker in the book. In book 2, Zorn, the dark sorcerer, was reborn. And now the witches want Zorn's help to destroy Zorn. Now, but here's the kicker. The witches need Zorn dead, and Zorn wants them dead. So how do you think this is going to pan out? But we all have heard the stories, right? An enemy of our enemy is our friend. So now we know where that came from in this series. So this is going to be a twisted tale in book 2 where the witches and Zorn, they come across the Zorn, and boy, he is something to tangle with. Let me tell you about that. Now, the witches ain't no playing object either. But in book 2, there is a treachery that happens at the end. And I mean, it's a terrible treachery. And in book 2, which is great, the witches find Princess Lera. Now, they're after Princess Lera. So, in book 2, at the end, the princess is kidnapped and taken away. Now, Zorn's quest opening up to book 3. In book 3, we're talking about saving Princess Lera. Now, something else about the Zorn's Quest books is you are going to meet so many different characters. I am a fantasy writer from hell. I love art. I have been a comic artist for many years, so my work as an artist is going to come into play in every one of Zorn's books, and I'm going to go over that later. But in Princess 3, you are going to encounter across many different lands. He's going to meet companions, or are they foes? And then the final strength and revenge on the witches and the white dragon for killing someone that he loves. Now, saving Princess Lera, we're talking about she has 2 bodyguards with her to get her where she needs to go, but they have let the witch take her. So now, but during this story is where the fantasy part comes out really great in book 3. He travels all across many countries, and he travels into one of the lands where there's a curse on the land, and every person is basically almost an animal of some sort. So you're going to meet Vikings in book 3. You're going to meet hawk tars. You're going to meet dragons, elves, orcs, water creatures, land creatures, and creatures made from magic. Like, you want to save Princess Lera. This is it. Zorn has to go get Princess Lera, and he's got to come across this white dragon because the white dragon continued to destroy villages all the way around the land. Zorn needs this for a quest for his salvation and hers. She's got to get it, which will lead us into book number 4. Book number 4, When Dragons Collide. This is one of my favorite Zorn books. I like this book 4 because it's all about dragons. There are so many different dragons in this book. It is unreal. I have made them to where there's a white dragon, purple dragon, red dragon, rouge dragon, black dragon. You name it. There's a dragon. There's a yellow dragon. Orange. There is so many dragons. And there are some that are friends and some that are foes. But the white dragon is his own alpha male, and this is what book 4 is about. It's about the dragons against the white alpha male. So that is a really good book for Quest 4. Quest 4, you like that one, eh? The white dragon has challenged and ruled the land for many, 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 many years, okay, with the white witch's Syrah's help. Now, leaving death and destruction every wake and where they went. Since the very first book, these are not nothing to play with. This white dragon has been the alpha and been the beast, but I also feel because he's had the witch's help with magic. White witch controls the white dragon. Now here's the thing you'll find out in book number 4. Zorn, he has been able to get in control of the green dragon. Yes, all the particulars, you will find out how and everything. In each book 4, every dragon has a different color stone. There's a lava dragon. He is badass. There's a crystal dragon. Like, there is some really cool dragons in this one. So the purple dragons is just like my fave. But like I said, you just have to, figure that one out. Now let's break this down. The why factor in these books. Why did I write Zorn's Quest? Like I told you in the very beginning, I wrote Zorn's Quest over 35 years ago. And I finally has been able to put it out. And when I did it, it was one of those, I used to love Conan. Okay, first of all, let's make sure we understand something. Before Conan, there was been many great characters. One was Autor. Back in the 70s. If you've never seen Autor, you gotta see, and then you'll understand where Conan the Barbarian comes from. There are a few characters that were done back in the 70s that were definitely, like, when you're talking about the 70s movies, my brain I'm looking at the movies right now, and then the titles are all off, like Kroll. You have Legend with Tom Cruise, actually, when he was when he was a baby. You have so many different movies. Skeletor. You got so many different Deathstalker. There are so many different movies back in the 70s that had a superhero, basically. But Autor was one of my first. Autor was Conan before Conan was Conan. He was badass. He was a slave brought into reality, then got his freedom. Conan, same effect. Bam. I love those stories so much. Zorn, same effect. I love the fact brought up and slave, and then he had to make his own way. That's what I love. And to me, you can make it your own. Cool. But yet you did it. But why did I write Zorn's Quest? Because I love fantasy. Always have. Ever since I remember, I have so many fantasy movies still on video to this day because I've never threw them out. Crazy movies, sci-fi too. I was a sci-fi media, but fantasy is where it's at. It's always been a fantasy. And where did it come from? Like I just told you. Now, about these books, every one of these books in Zorn's Quest, over 300 characters, I have drawn myself. Every illustration in Zorn's book is done by me. That's right. Every illustration. Badass artist. Wait till you see some of these characters. Really, really cool. So when you want to talk about that, so what does it feel like the most fantastic adventure Zorn has done? Right now, you guys have not been through all of Zorn's books, but as Zorn gets, the more it gets intense, it really is good. I think one of my favorites is the Battle for Kroll. It is just really badass. It's just really good. It's like fighting all the way through. Same as number 10. Number 9, the Battle for Bree. It is just a constant war. And when it comes to fantasy, that's what it's about. It ain't about no storytelling, two people walking through a woods. Yes, it happens. And the number 5, yes, there's 5 people have to take a little journey. But guess what? There's so much shit on the way going down. And if you're not a good fantasy writer, then you suck. The good thing about Zorn's Quest, make sure we know this, the first 3 books are also in game book. That's right. Game book. Goodreads has gave a 4.5 on the game book. You got to check that Zorn's game book out. That's a badass shit, man. It's a game. You got to beat number 1 to get to 2. 2 to got to beat to get to 3. I mean, that's the way it works. But Zorn's Quest is a way to go. When you want fantasy and you want a continuous journey, Zorn travels through many lands and each pages get booked. The first 2 books are the shortest of any of them. They're like barely 100 and something pages in, maybe 186, I think, on one and maybe 180 on the other one. After that, you better get ready to read because Zorn's Quest turns into longer and longer and longer versions because of the shit that goes down and how much more impact the life has become. I mean, that's what it's about, right? Zorn's Quest ain't no game. It is about, it's Zorn's Quest. It took many years to conquer all these books. That's his greatest adventures, number 5. But they are all really good and they tie into every single one of his books. So in the first 4 books, you got The Revenge on Tribilious. Book 2, The Witches of Caravan. Book 3, Saving Princess Lera. And book 4, When Dragons Collide. Now, I don't know about you, but that alone sounds like it's pretty frickin' intriguing to me. Which brings us to which of us, why Zorn felt the need to travel so much and so many adventures. You know, I think after Zorn lost his love, Leona, I think, you know, if anybody's lost somebody, you become lost. You become sad. You become just alone, and it just seems like nothing will fix that itch. No one will satisfy your need the way that lover did. No one will ever be the same. You will never be the same. You have 2 choices. My sister always said, die or get over it. And guess what? And if you don't, that's the people that are sorrowed, that are always drama. And Zorn felt the need to just keep going because he couldn't stop the love of Leona. He thought about her through the whole series. Even when he met somebody else and would be with someone, he would still think about his love, Leona. She was the greatest warrior, he said, he ever seen. He loved her. He loved her in battle. It's where they met and they conquered so many things together. So to me, once again, though, Zorn's adventures. Now, do you think Zorn ever brought himself to regret? I don't know now. You know, when it comes to regret in Zorn's life, yeah, there's been a regret that he followed the king's advice, and so he went on a whole adventure for 2 years for no reason, and then went back to get revenge on that king. So, I mean, hey, Zorn is nothing to play with, and, you know, regret, I don't know. I think he had a few along the way because there has been times he's lost friends and he's lost people, and probably he does regret that he wasn't there to help him out. Like when one of his friends dies, he's standing right there. He watches him fall. Like, it's just, it is one of the most heartbreaking scenes. I love it. And even Zorn had a tear. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it myself. Now, so I don't really think he regretted in most of his duelings. Now, consequences now, that could be a little different tale now because consequences can fuck with you. And he has been through a lot. He has killed a lot. And he has met a lot of cool creatures out there. There are some of the badass creatures that you're going to come across. Like Willow. Oh, man, when you meet Willow, you got to meet Willow. Willow is badass. Okay? Now, you got to meet Needy. Needy's badass. Okay? You got to meet, Rocks. You got to meet Core. I mean, there are so many. Ada. Ada is really cool. Tara's really cool. There are some really cool characters which Zorn goes through. So to me, like I said, there's so many different great fantasy movies out there, and you have to love the sake of, once again, the Beastmaster. See, there you go. That was in the 80s, right? Well, you're talking about what you can do and what you can be. So the consequences of every single land he goes through, he meets consequences now. He faces a lot of consequences for his dealing. Every time he kills, there's a consequence of someone coming. Every time he's after a witch, there's a consequence of who her followers are. Every time there's but he also meets friends. He also has a lot of friends, and he meets a lot of cool people in these books. These books are what you want if you're a fantasy lover. If you're a fantasy lover, you're going to love the whole goddamn trail. You're going to love every one. Now, yes, book one starts off a little slow. It's pretty good, though, because it's all about him going. But that was when I was learning how to write. And as you'll see as they each one progress, DCP has learned how to write. That's right. Now, you can share your thoughts and you can share any advice you want to at authorstephencandace@gmail.com. You can also send any email or look up any events or any advice at www.authorstephencandace.com. So check that shit out anytime you want to look. Now, we're going to have 2 recipes of the week. Our 2 recipes of the week, since we are the great outdoors and fantasy world, we're going to do roasted rabbit and baked potatoes. Let's start with our roasted rabbit. Let's go ahead and let's make sure we get a rabbit with about 2 or 3 pounds, a little bitty bugger. You don't need some big one, and not for unless you got a large family. Now you're going to make sure it's all cleaned up, which nowadays you buy it at the store. It's already done for you. Get that rabbit home, wash it up, get your roasting pan out. I want you to think of this as roasted chicken, except for the little difference is you're going to add a little rosemary in the pan. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay that rabbit in the pan, put about 1 inch of water in it. Now you're going to take your salt, pepper, rosemary, add a little garlic, throw a little paprika on it. Take your time and throw it in the bottom of it. Take a little rosemary, put it in the bottom, get that flavor in there. Now, if you want to roast it the real way, leave your lid off, put it into a baking dish, or you can roast it in an oven, the same as chicken with the lid on. I leave it off. I want that crispiness on top. You want to put your oven at 375. You're going to slap that rabbit on inside there, and you're going to just put it on and cook it for 45 minutes to an hour, and let that baby cook. You're going to check the temperature for 375. If it's not crispy on top and nice and coated red, put it back in the oven for another 20 minutes and it'll be perfect. Now, your baked potatoes, very simple, very easy. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to take a baked potato. Now, they just took a baked potato. They would find it from the root, pull it up from the plant, and they would throw it into the fire and let it cook. We're going to be a little more humane. We're going to wrap it in foil wax. We're going to wash potato first. You're going to stab it 3 times on each side with a fork. Then we're going to wrap it in foil, place it in your oven with your rabbit. And there you go. Just leave it in the oven, let it cook. And your baked potatoes are going to take an hour now. So the best way to do is put them both on 400 and let it ride. That's what I would do. Let it ride. The baked potato is going to take 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the size potato. Rabbit's going to take 40 minutes, 45, and it's going to be crispy and beautiful, and that's the way you want it. This week's things that make you go, Why are there so many people with different genders or politics or religion? Like, you can't even talk to them. They dislike it so much, it's like a hatred. It's like, I have a best friend that you can't talk politics. He turns into a demon from hell, nails out screaming and nails and how much he hates this and that and this. And I'm like, dude, it's politics. Why are you letting yourself get so involved in it? You cannot discuss politics. You can't discuss religion. You can't discuss anything to do with a lot of stuff with some people getting so hostile, like the politics. You mentioned Donald Trump. You want to see the whole world just turn upside down? I laugh personally, man. I never said I love some of the things he does, but man, I just love watching the fireworks. It reminds me of something my father once said many, many years ago. My father said, if you always want an argument in a room, talk about one of 3 things. Talk about politics, talk about religion, or talk about a woman's weight. Woo! You will find the heat of a discussion coming out. Can I get a holla? Holla! Just remember here, man, we're all here for a good time, not a long time. Go on, Trooper. Now, this week about older shit. After sitting here listening and watching the events of today and listening to everybody bitch. Let's be honest. Everybody's bitching about inflation. Me too. Yeah, everything has gone up. Everything is crazy. But I want to make sure to tell everybody, this is just a cycle of life that continually keeps going around. Back in the 60s, you had racism. I also heard inflation. The gas prices went up. I remember in 1978 when I graduated, the gas price went from 43 cents a gallon to 52 cents a gallon. And I remember everybody, including myself, highway robbery. 52 cents a gallon. I remember my dad buying loaves of bread and they would get them on sale for 10 cents a loaf and they would load up 10, 15 loaves. Then I remember it going up to 50 cents and watching him go crazy. I remember him getting a water bill and it was $30 and he about lost his mind for 2 months. $30? Oh, that man would. And then how many of our parents walked around shutting off lights, telling you to close the doors, telling you don't let the heat out, telling your ass to wipe your ass, but don't use too much toilet paper. Woo! That was the 60s and 70s. Then you get to the 80s. Oh, and then the 70s. They hated rock and roll music. Now we get to the 80s. 80s was drugs, rock and roll, baby. Drugs were entered in the 80s out of Florida. And let's be honest, that's exactly went down. When the Cubans came in the 80s, and what's that? Jimmy Carter. That's right, that southern little bugger. Jimmy Carter let everybody in the world from Cuba and all those islands in. So did the drugs come following with him. And guess what? The 80s was drug. Everybody wanted to get rich selling cocaine. Niagara Falls here was so bad, my wife and I left 1986. We couldn't take it. We were here from 81 to 86. Watching friends of ours go down like the Titanic because of heroin or cocaine. We've lost friendships because of drugs, because we didn't do it. It was one of those things where it was sad to watch people's lives alter. Even to this day, right now, it's the same thing. I've lost family members out there because of drugs. I mean, I'll never get them back, I don't think. I don't think we can get them back. But still, it's the same shit, different cycle. So stop bitching. You can't do anything about it. It sounds great in theory that you're going to go and walk to Ottawa and stop it. Guess what? Look what happened to the convoy. Didn't do shit. So just remember that. Now, let's get to something positive. This week's quote of the week. Success never comes easy, but it's worth it at the end. Success never comes easy, but it's worth it at the end. Let's enjoy our lives and everything around us. And come on, read a good book. Hopefully it's one of mine. And don't forget to listen to Audible. It may surprise you and may like it. You're doing housework. Put that shit on and walk around. You got shit to do, right? All right, so I will chat with you later. And we will see you soon on our next adventure. Episode number 12, the last one of this year. Can I get a holla? And DCP Talks is